database concept. So object oriented abbreviation can be taken as OO or O-O. So this is going to be the first software which is created by Simula language. Okay, the root will be from the Simula language, and as an expansion of this, the small talk was identified in the year 1970, which consists of a pure OOPL language, where message passing and inheritance is going to play a very vital role. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the transient object. So object in OOPL exists only during the program execution. So there are two type of objects as we discussed yesterday. One is called as a transient object, the other one is called as a persistent object. So transient object na என்னன்னா program execute ஆச்சுன்னா அந்த program execute ஆகிற time வரைக்கும் இருக்கிறதுக்கு பேரு transient object. So it will be enabled or it will be alive only till the execution of any particular program. Okay, that is called as a transient object. So second thing is called as a permanent object, where it is going to be permanent whether the particular program is executed or it is terminated. So execute ஆனாலும் terminate ஆனாலும் present இருக்க enabled இருக்க object பேர் என்ன அப்படின்னா persistent. Persistent na permanent னு அர்த்தம். சரிங்களா? So the persistent object consists of a beyond program termination. So the persistent object can exist beyond program termination, which can be retrieved later and shared by the other programs. Okay, so this persistent object will be permanently stored in the secondary storage, which is called as a non-erasable memory or permanent memory. சரிங்களா? செகண்டரி ஸ்டோரேஜ்னா எப்பவுமே நமக்கு பெர்மனன்ட் ஸ்டோரேஜ் மெமரி. ஸோ அங்கதான் நம்ம இதெல்லாத்தையும் ஸ்டோர் பண்ண போறோம். ஓகேங்களா? ஸோ என்கேப்சுலேஷன்னா என்னன்னு நமக்கு தெரியும். மெத்தட் ஆர் பாடி ஆஃப் த திங், பாடி ஆஃப் த இதுன்னா தட் இஸ் ஆப்ஜெக்ட் அப்படின்னா நமக்கு என்னன்னு தெரியும். தென் வி ஆர் கோயிங் ஃபார் த அதர் கான்செப்ட் கால் ஆப்ஜெக்ட் ஓரியன்டட் relational mapping. So this is our next topic, which is called as a object relational features. Object oriented relational features. So most business database application is going to use the relational databases. So here we need to map the object in the application to table and database. So all the things, all the applications will contain the object that has to be mapped with the object, that is tables in the database. Sometimes be a simple matter of mapping individual classes to a separate database table. However, if the class structure is more complex, then the mapping should be carefully done, because it may be represented or it may be accessed by efficient possible manner. So this is a table in relational DBMS. So இது என்னது? Objects in memory, that is objects which is present in the secondary memory. So secondary memoryல நம்ம certain objects store பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கோம் இல்லீங்களா? So அந்த objects எல்லாத்தையும் என்ன சொல்றோம்? We are calling that as objects in memory. So this is tables in relational database. நம்ம components of DBMS ல பார்த்தோம் இல்லீங்களா? That RDBMS, that is called as a relational DBMS, where all the relations are going to be stored in the database management system. Okay, so here both the things will be combined with the help of a embedded SQL statement. Okay, so next is called as a OR mapping inheritance. How logically the object oriented programming is going to be mapped with the tables. Okay, so இங்க மூணு டேபிள் இருக்குன்னு வெச்சுக்கலாம். So the first table consists of, the table name is person. It consists of person ID, last name, first name and title. Then the second table is called as an employee table, which consists of ID, person ID, since, pay rate. And the person can be a customer. So customer is a table name. The customer can consist of ID. It may be consisting of person ID as a foreign key. So person ID is going to be the primary key for the person table. சரிங்களா? person table ஓட primary key என்னது person id is going to be the primary key for the person table. So here id is going to be the primary key for employee table. In this table id is going to act as a primary key for the customer table, whereas this person id is going to be implemented as a foreign key. So இது என்ன சொல்றோம், இந்த டேபிளையும் கனெக்ட் பண்றதுக்கு எனக்கு ஒரு attribute தேவைப்படுது. So அதனால நான் என்ன பண்றேன், இந்த ரெண்டையுமே I'm going to take as a foreign key. Okay, so one table is going to refer the primary key of the other table is called as a foreign key. Okay, so if one table is going to, that is the employee table, if employee table is going to refer the primary key of a person table, then it is called as a foreign key. So here person id is called as a foreign key, and in the customer table also person id is called as a foreign key. Okay, so here in this inheritance concept you are using the class. So this is called as a class. Okay, so person அப்படிங்கிறது இங்க என்னது, இது வந்து base class. இதுல இருந்து நான் ரெண்டு கிளாஸ் derive பண்ண போறேன். என்னென்ன கிளாஸ், employee and customer. So this is going to be, the person is going to be the base class. From here I'm going to derive two subclasses. One is called employee, the other one is called customer. Okay, so here இங்க என்னென்ன நம்ம யூஸ் பண்றோம், இது வந்து primary key. இத தவிர வேற என்னென்ன attributes இங்க யூஸ் பண்றோம், string last name, string first name, string title. இதுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா இது ரெண்டுமே வந்து keys. இந்த ரெண்டு கீயையும் விட்டேன்னா நான் ரெண்டு தான் யூஸ் பண்றேன். இங்க என்னென்ன attribute யூஸ் பண்றேன், since and pay rate. So since அப்படின்னா எந்த இயர்ல இருந்து அங்க ஒர்க் பண்றாங்க, so it can be derived with date, and pay rate can be divided with floating point value. இங்க பார்த்தோம்னா வேற என்ன இருக்கு, terms and orbs. So terms is a string and orbs is a value. Okay, so since it is defined as a float, this is called as a vertical mapping. So now moving to the horizontal mapping. So vertical mapping la na enna pandren, மூணு கிளாஸா எடுத்திருக்கேன். So 1 2 and 3. So this relation is going to be combined with, or it can be derived as a relational database with the help of three tables. So now moving to the horizontal object oriented relational mapping. So இங்க அதையே எடுத்திருக்கேன், இதே தான் நான் இங்க இந்த ரிலேஷனே தான் இங்க எடுத்திருக்கேன். இதை நான் எப்படி இங்க derive பண்றேன்னு பாருங்க. So இங்க என்ன கொடுத்திருக்கேன், எனக்கு personsல இருக்க first name last name எல்லாம் நம்ம யூஸ் பண்றோம் இல்லீங்களா. சோ அதனால நான் இங்க ஹாரிசான்டலா derive பண்ணும்போது எப்படி derive பண்ணிருக்கேன், எம்ப்ளாயின்னு ஒரு டேபிள் derive பண்ணிருக்கேன், கஸ்டமர்னு ஒரு டேபிள் derive பண்ணிருக்கேன். ரெண்டுலயுமே id is going to be the primary key. Okay, and then so I'm going to include last name, first name, title, since and pay rate in employee, and customer la enna pandren adhe madri last name, first name, title கொடுத்து terms and orbs. So this is how the horizontal mapping will be done in the inheritance concept. So next is called as a filtered mapping. Filtered mapping na enna, எனக்கு இதுல இருந்து certain things தேவை, இதுல இருந்து certain things தேவை, இதுல இருந்து certain things தேவைனா, so I can combine everything as a single document. So இங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா தெரியும், personsல நான் என்ன பண்ணிருக்கேன், person id. Okay, then I'm going to use type, last name, first name and title, since and pay rate, terms and orbs. So this is called as a filtered mapping. Filtered mapping na enna thevayo adu thaniya eduthu adu thani table I am going to create it. Okay, so here you are going to have the guidelines for all these three type of mappings. So first type of mapping is called as a vertical mapping. So there is a significant overlap between the types. So changing type is common here. Okay, in horizontal mapping there is a little overlap between the types. Changing types is uncommon because you cannot change each and every places. So filtered mapping is very simple or shallow hierarchy with little overlap between the types. So in all the spaces the overlapping are done. So இது வந்து one to one communication. இதே வந்து many to many communication இருந்ததுன்னா எப்படி இருக்கும் அப்படின்றத இங்க காமிச்சிருக்காங்க. So in relational database a join table is required to represent this relation. So student relationையும் course relationையும் நான் join பண்ண போறோம். Student ID and course ID is going to be the primary key for both the table. Name and matric number வச்சிருக்கேன், இங்க course name and level வச்சிருக்கேன். So இந்த ரெண்டு டேபிளையும் நான் combine பண்ணனும்னா எனக்கு என்ன தேவை? I'm going to combine the student and course table, which consists of a primary key, student ID and course ID. So many to many mapping இப்படிதான் நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம். So this is the object oriented relational features. This is the features of object oriented relation. புரிஞ்சுதா? இது வரைக்கும் எடுத்தது chat boxல post பண்ணுங்க. chat boxல post பண்ணுங்க, அதுக்கப்புறம் அடுத்த டாபிக் பார்க்கலாம். So only Selval Engage is listening to my class. What about others? What about Jeevita, Lavanya, Mahalakshmi? Okay, ma, thanks for responding. So now we are moving to the next concept called object data model. Okay, so object data model is going to be a persistent object. It is going to base on the concept of persistent object. So here it uses a class declaration, which is very similar to those are used in the object oriented programming language. So OOPS ல நம்ம எப்படி யூஸ் பண்ணமோ சேம் அதே மாதிரி இங்க class declaration நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம். So class declaration should have additionally indicated the relationship between the objects. Okay, so this is how it will be used. So this is the objects in the memory, and this is going to be the objects which is stored in the database. Okay, both are going to be communicated with each other through method calls or through queries. Okay, one second. Thank you. Thanks for waiting. So now we are going to discuss about a object data model. So the system must be able to represent